Chapter 966. Prison King, who had been famous for more than 100 years, and was as famous as Xianhou an evil king, couldn't even take a single strike from Yi Chen. Although they were both 4-star overlords when they were at the same level, after so many years, each of them had made great progress. For example, Xianhou had reached high stage 5-star battle strength. Prison King was slightly inferior, but he was also at mid-stage 5-star battle strength. Combined with Prison Sect's unique punishment martial arts, his battle strength was infinitely close to high stage 5-star battle strength. However, he still couldn't take a single strike from Yi Chen. Gasp! Cassiopeia King sucked in a breath of cold air. He finally understood why the patriarch thought so highly of Yi Chen, and made a deal with Yi Chen the moment he entered life and death realm. Today's strike, I'll remember it. Prison King was both startled and furious. He felt that he was not Yi Chen's opponent, and he didn't have the face to stay here any longer. Borrowing the power of Yi Chen's strike, he flew off into the distance. Let's go as well. Sky Ethereal King expressionlessly turned around and left. The last to leave was the Black Mountain Queen. She hesitated for a moment before saying, "Be careful. The Black Mountain lineage specializes in using spider webs to trap enemies. Therefore, it is very likely that my Grandmaster will be invited out of the mountain to deal with people like you who are proficient in the profound mysteries of space, or extremely fast-titled emperors. Many thanks for the reminder. If possible, I don't want to become enemies with your ancestor. Black Mountain Ancestor, Dragon King, Black Dragon Old Ancestor, and Golden Turtle Old Ancestor could be said to be 4 old antiques. Apart from Dragon King, the other 3 were all demonic beasts. Each of them was over 1,000 years old, and the oldest among them was Black Mountain Ancestor. Just like Golden Turtle Old Ancestor, he often went into seclusion. Therefore, not many people under life and death realm knew of him. However, those who did know of him knew how frightening he was. Black Mountain Ancestor's battle strength was secondary. His spider webs were the most frightening. As long as you give up your alliance with demonic human clan, my ancestor won't deal with you. Black Mountain Queen glanced at Cassiopeia King and said. Yi Chen smiled. He wasn't afraid of Black Mountain Ancestor, but he didn't want another enemy. Of course, he wouldn't explain too much either. I'll leave first. In a flash, the Queen of Black Mountain disappeared into the sky. Cassiopeia King, what are your plans now? After the Queen of Black Mountain left, Yi Chen turned around and asked the King of Cassiopeia. Cassiopeia King bowed towards Yi Chen. Many thanks to Your Highness Yi Chen for saving me. I wonder if Your Highness Yi Chen can send me to the chaotic demon ocean? I'm afraid that I'll be hunted down once I leave. The King of Cassiopeia was not afraid of the virtuous king and the Ironbone King. As long as she wanted to escape, they could not stop her. What she was afraid of was the Queen of Black Mountain. Yi Chen nodded. All right. Although the distance between True Spirit Continent and Chaotic Demonic Ocean was hundreds of millions of li, it was not very far for Yi Chen and Cassiopeia King. Even the slowest peak kings could travel 100,000 li in a blink of an eye. On the outskirts of the desolate ridge, a little bird resting on a tree saw Yi Chen and the Cassiopeia King and flew out. It looks like this Yi Chen is determined to protect the demonic human clan. In the distance, the virtuous king's expression was gloomy. The Demon Flower Emperor was temporarily not in the chaotic demon ocean. After asking, he found out that the Demon Flower Emperor had gone to the starry sky and would return in a few days. Without the Demon Flower Emperor, Yi Chen did not plan to linger in the chaotic demon ocean and return to the desolate ridge. In the blink of an eye, Yi Chen had stayed in the desolate ridge for 6 days. In these 6 days, Yi Chen had killed at least 20 if not 30 blood-winged dragons. On average, he would encounter 5 or 6 of them every day. Moreover, this was the result of him finishing them quickly. Otherwise, there would have been even more blood-winged dragons. After killing 20 to 30 blood-winged dragons, Yi Chen obtained another 5 beast cores. However, among these beast cores, there were no longer any deformed beast cores. It was all very normal. Senior Yuan Emperor said that these deformed beast cores contain desolate power. As long as I collect enough desolate power, I can use it to sense the places that might contain desolate stones. When the blood-winged dragons devoured things with desolate power, their bodies would produce desolate power. This meant that the blood-winged dragons had been to those places. Unfortunately, the blood-winged dragons were very difficult to tame. Only by taming a blood-winged dragon with desolate power could one find the place. Otherwise, it would be a waste of effort. On this day, Yi Chen encountered a formidable opponent. It was a blood-winged dragon king. Moreover, it was a blood-winged dragon king that had devoured desolate power. As soon as this blood-winged dragon king saw Yi Chen, it madly pounced at him. It was extremely ferocious, as if it had the intention and determination to tear Yi Chen into 1,000 pieces. Boom 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 boom. One human and one beast fought fiercely. This blood-winged dragon king is so strong. Yi Chen consecutively used the 8 trigrams extermination sword art, and the autumn water sword art's third move, breaking bone, but it only left a few sword marks on the blood-winged dragon king's skin. It was harmless. This blood-winged dragon king's defense was not much weaker than Golden Turtle Patriarch's. Roar! The blood-winged dragon king was also very angry. It wasn't that it hadn't fought with powerful monarchs before. Some monarchs were even stronger than Yi Chen, but it had a strong defense. It could at least make the other party look very miserable. However, Yi Chen's close combat strength was simply incredible. It had been hit countless times, but it hadn't injured him even once. How could it not be annoyed? Suddenly, a large amount of yellow light gathered at the front of the blood-winged dragon king's wings. This yellow light emitted an astonishing desolate power. The yellow light kept condensing, and finally compressed into a thin line. It stuck to the blood-winged dragon king's wings like 2 sharp blades and slashed at Yi Chen. Its desolate power. Yi Chen didn't dare to be careless. The autumn water sword art's third move, breaking bone, met it head-on. Boom! As the yellow light gushed out, Yi Chen flew back, a trace of blood leaking from the corner of his mouth. The blood-winged dragon king's attack this time was more than twice as fast and powerful, causing Yi Chen to suffer a little. Swish! Unforgiving, the blood-winged dragon king attacked again, its wings like heavenly blades slashing. Fine, I'll use you to test the merciless water and fire's power and shortcomings. Eyes narrowed into a line, Yi Chen held the Sky Scorpio sword with both hands and slashed upwards. Immediately, a dark green flame sword light crazily rolled out. The frightening sword aura seemed to be able to pierce through the blue dome of the desolate ridge. The next moment, it was as if thunder had struck the ground. An earth-shattering sound exploded, and Yi Chen and the blood-winged dragon king were blown backward. The former puked out a mouthful of blood, while the latter's wings were scorched black. Blood also flowed out of its mouth and nose. The result was that both sides were injured, and the blood-winged dragon king's injuries were more serious. Good come again! Yi Chen's battle-intent sword. His body twisted in the air, following an arc. He attacked the blood-winged dragon king. At the same time, the blood-winged dragon king's scorched black wings also recovered instantly. With a flap of its wings, its huge body was like a blood-red shooting star, fiercely slamming towards Yi Chen. One human and one beast continuously collided and separated, going back and forth dozens of times. It was incomparably violent. Break for me. Relying on the sword in hand and sword in heart realm, on the 20th collision, Yi Chen took the initiative and slashed at the joint of the blood-winged dragon king's right wing. That place was covered with the least yellow light, and was also the weakest part. The dark green flame sword light cut through the yellow light, almost cutting off the blood-winged dragon king's entire right wing. Roar! The blood-winged dragon king miserably screamed, and unexpectedly spat out a mouthful of yellow light towards Yi Chen. Caught off guard, Yi Chen's protective Zhen Yuan layer was easily shattered by the yellow light like tofu. His bronze armor, which was not an extreme-ranked defensive item, had a huge hole punctured through it, and his body was pierced through. Dragon breath. Yi Chen was shocked. This blood-winged dragon king had actually spat out a dragon breath that only a giant dragon could do. However, it was obvious that the blood-winged dragon king was not in a good condition either. Its spirit was extremely weak, and it did not have the time to take this opportunity to kill Yi Chen. Instead, it flapped its wings and shot up into the sky, disappearing above the dark clouds. The flesh and blood squirmed, and the punctured chest recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye. So close. If it had been aimed at my head, I would have died for sure. Taking off the bronze armor, Yi Chen stored it in his storage ring. This pseudo-extreme rank item had finally come to an end. Fortunately, after killing the Blackwater ancestor, Yi Chen had obtained his extreme rank battle armor, Black Demon. Even though it was only a low extreme rank armor, its defensive power was still far beyond the bronze armor. Putting on the armor, Yi Chen quickly left the place in order to avoid being surrounded by a large number of blood-winged dragon kings. In the vast starry sky, an unbalanced battle was taking place. The weaker side was the Demon Flower Emperor, and she had as many as 3 enemies: the Air Emperor, the Sky-Splitting Spear Emperor, and a white-haired elder in colorful robes. Demon Flower Emperor, watch my spear! The Sky-Splitting Spear Emperor's spear art was extremely aggressive. With one spear thrust, it was like a meteor shower, covering the Demon Flower Emperor with an astonishing aura. Dang! The Demon Flower Emperor activated her demon eyes, and easily saw the most threatening spear light within the meteor shower. She threw out a punch and sparks flew everywhere. The Sky-Splitting Spear Emperor's figure appeared, holding a golden long spear. The tip of the spear pressed against the Demon Flower Emperor's fist, unable to move an inch forward. The golden long spear even started to bend. This Demon Flower Emperor is indeed powerful. The golden long spear straightened, and the Sky-Splitting Spear Emperor bounced back. Boundless smoke dust sky. Just as the Sky-Splitting Spear Emperor bounced back, the Air Emperor's ace attack arrived. His whole body was shrouded in an illusory white smoke, which covered the sky and the ground. Accompanied by the Air Emperor's fist aura, it bombarded the Demon Flower Emperor. Pooh! At this moment, the Devil Flower Emperor had just repelled the Sky-Splitting Spear Emperor. Just as he was about to unleash his new strength, he exchanged a punch with the Space Emperor, and was instantly defeated. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Suddenly the Demon Flower Emperor frowned. 5 Poison King, you dare to poison me? As soon as the protective Zhen Yuan was broken, the Demon Flower Emperor inhaled a strand of qi. This qi was extremely sinister, directly fusing with the Demon Flower Emperor's demonic power. The multicolor-robed old man laughed heartily. Demon Flower Emperor, how can you say such foolish words? We're enemies. If I don't poison you, who will I poison? Today, you'd better obediently let yourself be captured. The multicolor-robed old man was the leader of the 5 Poison Sect, one of the 9 great sects of True Spirit Continent, 5 Poison King. He himself only had the strength of a peak king, but his poison skills were second to none. Even titled monarchs were apprehensive of him. After injuring the Demon Flower Emperor with one punch, the Air Emperor stood with his hands clasped behind his back and said, "In this starry sky, no one can help you. We were waiting for you to enter the starry sky before making our move." The Demon Flower Emperor was a titled monarch like him. If the 3 of them joined hands, defeating him would be easy, but killing or capturing him would be extremely difficult. The 5 Poison King's purpose was to weaken the Demon Flower Emperor's strength, making him weaker and weaker. Chapter 967. Very good. I didn't think that you would be so impatient to act against the demonic human tribe. However, if you want me to surrender, that will depend on whether you have the ability or not. At the same time, the Devil Flower Emperor's eyes turned pure red, and a flower image floated within them. Devouring blood flower. Both hands rapidly formed seals. The Demon Flower Emperor's aura continued to rise. The violent aura caused the nearby meteorites to explode, sending dust everywhere. Be careful, she's about to erupt. Among the 3, the Air Emperor was the strongest. He said with a solemn expression. In a one-on-one fight, the Air Emperor wasn't confident that he could deal with the Demon Flower Emperor. Although the Sky-Splitting Spear Emperor and 5 Poison King had joined them, it didn't mean that they could ignore the Demon Flower Emperor. On the contrary, they had to be extremely careful. Who knew what kind of battle strength the Demon Flower Emperor would display when she risked her life? Perhaps she could even kill 1 or 2 of them. Without the need for the Space Emperor to transmit his voice, the Sky-Splitting Spear Emperor could tell from the Devil Flower Emperor's aura that the other party was preparing his strongest attack. At this time, it was extremely unwise to appear. They only needed to wait for the poison released by the 5 Poison King to slowly spread within the Devil Flower Emperor's body. There was no need to risk their lives to resist it. As for 5 Poison King, he had already arrived behind the Air Emperor and the Sky-Splitting Spear Emperor. With the two of them blocking the Demon Flower Emperor's full power attack, he was confident he could deal with the remaining shockwaves. All of a sudden, a blood flower materialized from below, swallowing the 3 of them. This blood flower had a diameter of more than 10,000 miles. Not to mention swallowing people, it could even swallow a small planet. After swallowing the 3 of them, the blood flower became smaller and smaller. Finally, it stabilized at a size of 1,000 meters. The flower bud was tightly wrapped, like a flower that hadn't bloomed yet. However, its color was blood red, and it was filled with a frightening aura. Puff! After doing all of this, the Demon Flower Emperor spat out a mouthful of blood, and her face was pale to the extreme. She didn't hesitate to turn around and fly into the depths of the starry sky, and it wasn't long before she disappeared without a trace. A moment after the Demon Flower Emperor left, the blood-colored flower swelled up. When it swelled up to a few hundred times its original size, the blood-colored flower suddenly exploded. The terrifying shockwave sent the nearest star flying away. Along the way, the star quickly disintegrated. Dazzling fireworks exploded, bringing a moment of light to the pitch-black starry sky. In the center of the explosion, the Air Emperor and the other 2 had ugly expressions. As expected of the Demon Flower Emperor, he still has this move. The Air Emperor thought that he had prepared everything. He was proficient in Space Profound, and the 5 Poison King was proficient in Poison Profound. In addition, he had the powerful Sky-Splitting Spear Emperor, so he didn't have any flaws. After all, the Demon Flower Emperor's escaping ability was only average, not the best. The 5 Poison King sneered. Although it's a pity to let her escape, she has also been poisoned by my Rong Yuan poison. Unless she disperses all of her cultivation, she won't be able to expel the poison. A poisoned Demon Flower Emperor isn't scary, and a Demon Flower Emperor dispersing all of her cultivation is even less scary. Once she disperses all of her cultivation, she won't be able to recover even 1/10 of her original strength within a few years. Moreover, dispersing all of her cultivation should be done as soon as possible. If it's too late, the Rong Yuan poison isn't something to be trifled with. What a frightening Rong Yuan poison! The Sky-Splitting Spear Emperor couldn't help but frown. Even the Demon Flower Emperor was in such a sorry state. If he was poisoned, he wouldn't be any better off. Fortunately, the Rong Yuan poison couldn't penetrate the protective Zhen Yuan. As long as the protective Zhen Yuan wasn't broken, the 5 Poison King wouldn't be able to do anything to him. At most, he would be on guard. After all, the 5 Poison King's poison research was the best in the world. Who knew what other poison abilities he had? The plan to capture the Demon Flower Emperor has failed, but the next plan must be carried out. The Air Emperor said expressionlessly. The Sky-Splitting Spear Emperor nodded. It's just the chaotic demon ocean. Even if she betrays Elysium, it won't be a big deal. What can truly affect the overall situation is the human demon homeland. In the depths of the starry sky, on a desolate star, thousands of li below the surface of the star, the Demon Flower Emperor was sitting cross-legged with a layer of green qi covering her body. What a good Rong Yuan poison. Unless I destroy all of my cultivation, even a little bit of it will revive and become stronger. The Demon Flower Emperor frowned. As a human demon, she had inherited the bloodline of the demon's flower demons. Flowers were beautiful, but there were naturally evil ones. The demon's demon flower was a flower that contained dark power. Normally, as long as it wasn't those forbidden poisons, ordinary poisons should be ineffective against her. However, a flower demon was a flower demon, and a human demon was a human demon. Although the two were related, human demons had only inherited part of their abilities. If she was a real flower demon, she would naturally be able to ignore the Rong Yuan poison. They only want to deal with me because they want to find the human demon homeland. There's still time. I should first think of a way to seal most of my cultivation. The level of one's cultivation didn't have much of an impact on one's battle power. Even if she sealed most of her cultivation, it would only reduce the Demon Flower Emperor's battle power by 10%. Of course, the main reason was that she was a human demon. If it were someone else, they wouldn't be able to suppress the Rong Yuan poison. In the depths of the desolate mountain, this is already the third time I've fought with the Blood-Winged Dragon King. Is it because of that deformed beast pellet? It had been a week since the first battle with the Blood-Winged Dragon King. Yichen originally thought that the Blood-Winged Dragon King wouldn't bother him anymore, since it knew that it couldn't do anything to him. However, he didn't expect that it would come back after a few days. In the end, both sides still ended up with heavy losses. The Blood-Winged Dragon King's dragon breath was extremely powerful. Even with the black demon battle armor, which had blocked most of its destructive power, the remaining half was still enough to hurt Yichen. 3 times in a row. It seems like it wants to waste my Zhen Yuan. Demonic beasts were different from humans. Before reaching life and death realm, the demonic power of a demonic beast was dozens of times, even hundreds of times, or even thousands of times more than a human. Normally, the size of a demonic beast's body corresponded to its size. However, although there was a lot of demonic power, it wasn't as pure as a human's. It was like a pot of rice. No matter how delicious it was, it would never be able to be eaten. After entering life and death realm and becoming a demonic beast king, the demonic power of a demonic beast would be extremely pure, almost reaching the level of a human king. However, because of this, the demonic power would shrink by 80 to 90%, not even 10%. Even so, the demonic power of a demonic beast king was not something a human king could compare to. If one were to say that 100 years of cultivation base was the most perfect state for a human to reach life and death realm, then 1,000 years of cultivation base for a demonic beast would be enough to make one's hair stand on end. Fortunately, demonic beasts also had a weakness, which was that their mental state improved very slowly, unlike humans who could improve rapidly. Therefore, the further one advanced, the less obvious the advantage of demonic beasts became. On the contrary, the advantage of humans became more and more obvious. This Blood-Winged Dragon King's cultivation base was at least 3,000 years, 3 times that of Yichen. Even if Yichen were to exhaust his Zhen Yuan, it would still be able to retain at least 2/3 of its demonic power. If Yichen's guess was right, this was the Blood-Winged Dragon King's goal. Since you want to exhaust my cultivation base, I can also use you as a whetstone to continue studying my merciless water and fire. The greater the pressure, the greater the motivation. This principle was applicable at any time. Yichen could actually go back and recover his cultivation base in the 9-9 return to origin Great Array. But he didn't do so. Very straightforwardly, Yichen decided not to explore other parts of the Great Desolate Mountain, and instead found a place to slowly recover his cultivation base, while waiting for the great battle with the Blood-Winged Dragon King. The night passed and the day arrived. Roar! A strange roar resounded in the sky. It's here! Yichen opened his eyes, and lightning appeared in the void. Leaving the seclusion area, Yichen stood on top of a mountain peak and looked up at the huge blood-red dragon. Without any nonsense, the Blood-Winged Dragon King flapped its wings and swooped down. Its millstone-like claws shone with a layer of yellow light, seeming to have the power to tear through everything. Both sides fought at high speed, exchanging moves and attacks. It was extremely dangerous. Merciless water and fire. Finally, at the critical moment, Yichen attacked with merciless water and fire. The Blood-Winged Dragon King also spat out a yellow dragon breath, clashing head-on. At the cost of losing one of its left arms, Yichen heavily injured the Blood-Winged Dragon King for the 4th time. Watching the other leave at an extremely fast speed, Yichen didn't have any intention of chasing. Merciless water and fire is showing signs of breaking through. After consecutive life and death battles, Yichen had a deeper understanding of the life and death Tao. Entering the life and death realm required one to comprehend the life and death Tao, but it didn't mean that one would completely comprehend it. In fact, the life and death Tao was much more profound than any profound. He discovered that the merciless water and fire were closely related to the life and death Tao. Only by making progress in the life and death Tao would he be able to study the merciless water and fire to completion. This Yi Chen has such a high battle power. But fortunately, he only has less than 30% of his Zhen Yuan left. Far away, a mountain tortoise saw all of this. Even further away in the desolate ridge, Golden Turtle Old Ancestor coldly gazed into the depths of the void. His mind was connected to the mountain tortoises, so he could see what the mountain tortoise could see. The battle power Yi Chen displayed in the battle with the Blood-Winged Dragon King shocked Golden Turtle Old Ancestor greatly. Previously, when Yi Chen killed the yellow-robed old man and the other two, he already had a high-level 5-star battle power, which was close to Demon Flower Emperor and Xianhou. But now, the strength Yi Chen displayed was not inferior to the two, and even faintly showed signs of surpassing them. I can't let him progress any further. Heaven Illusion King, I owe you a favor. Golden Turtle Old Ancestor came to the desolate ridge to deal with Yi Chen, and the news was naturally told by Heaven Illusion King. However, Golden Turtle Old Ancestor also knew that although he had a peak 5-star battle power and could easily defeat Yi Chen, he didn't have full confidence in killing Yi Chen. Yi Chen was proficient in the profound of space, which was what he feared the most, and also what he hated the most. These people who were proficient in the profound of space were all extremely slippery. Therefore, he was waiting for Yi Chen's Jin Yuan to be almost consumed, and then he would make his move, making his original 60 to 70% chance of success become 100%, without any other possibility. After killing Yi Chen, it is said that the others are also dealing with Demon Flower Emperor. Only Xianhou is left, and there is nothing to worry about. I will also make her pay the price she deserves. Golden Turtle Old Ancestor's body emitted a trace of coldness. Chapter 968. Unknowingly, Yi Chen had already stayed in the desolate mountain for more than half a month. In this half a month, he had exchanged blows with the Blood-Winged Dragon King 6 times, and only 10% of his Zhen Yuan remained. If converted to cultivation base, it would be equivalent to 110 years, which was about the same as when he had entered life and death realm. Soon merciless water and fire will reach completion at any time. However, Yi Chen did not feel uneasy at all. In the 5 exchanges with the Blood-Winged Dragon King, Yi Chen had gotten stronger each time, and the latter had also gotten more injured each time. On the 6th time, Yi Chen had almost beheaded the Blood-Winged Dragon King. His strength had increased by more than 50%. After all, merciless water and fire had gone from small completion to completion, and its destructive power had increased by an unknown amount. Once I complete merciless water and fire, my battle power will probably reach 6 stars. Merciless water and fire was not an ordinary top profound sense martial skill, and its destructive power was several times higher than other martial skills of the same rank. Therefore, even if Yi Chen's water and fire profound were only at completion, merciless water and fire were still comparable to top-grade profound sense martial skills. In this case, Yi Chen's martial skills would not be weaker than anyone else's. Under 6 stars, no one would be able to surpass him. Added with the 6th step destruction sword intent, and the Heaven Realm mid-rank Green Lotus sword spell, his Zhen Yuan would not have any shortcomings. The limit of life and death realm martial skills is 10 stars. I wonder what will happen after 6 stars. At the same time, the higher his strength increased, the more curious Yi Chen was about the realm after that. In this era, the highest battle power in Elysium was only 6 stars, and each of them was elusive. The only 6-star King Yi Chen had seen was the Fire Emperor. Unfortunately, he was already dead. Therefore, nobody knew what 7-star battle power was like, not to mention 8 or 9 stars. Of course, Yi Chen could actually ask Yuan Emperor. However, there were some things that could not be said. One had to see it with one's own eyes. Yuan Emperor was very powerful. In his era, he was unrivaled under the heavens, and was regarded as one of the strongest titled monarchs in the history of Elysium. Yi Chen learned from him that Yuan Emperor's peak battle power was at the peak of 7-star. Once he used the 3 flowers borrowing Tao, his battle power would double, reaching the level of a 7-star tyrant. However, Yuan Emperor did not pass through the death path, because Yuan Emperor's fame was too great, and there were always scouts of other races in Elysium. The people guarding the death path were all abnormally powerful. However, Yuan Emperor was able to escape unscathed, and even killed a foreign race expert. In the current era, Elysium was in a weakened state, and there were very few 6-star kings. As long as one had a low-level battle power of 7-star, they would be able to pass through the death path. The only thing they lacked was a 7-star king. Passing through the death path depends on both strength and luck. Yi Chen will not rely on luck to pass through the death path. There was always a chance of survival in the world. Although the foreign race monarchs guarding the death path were ridiculously powerful, sometimes, no matter how powerful they were, there was no guarantee of success. In a situation where one's strength was not enough, one could only rely on luck. If one's luck was heaven-defying, one might not even meet the foreign race monarchs guarding the death path, and one could easily pass through the death path and leave Elysium. However, Yi Chen knew that the chances of this were too low. If one relied on luck to pass through the death path, one would die in 100, and only 1 in 1,000 would survive. One would not be able to control one's own life and death. Yi Chen did not like to rely on luck. One could not always rely on luck in life, because luck would eventually run out. Before that, I have to live well first. Any pursuit, any dream, was based on survival. Without life, no matter how many pursuits and dreams one had, they would all be nothing but an illusion. Therefore, in order to reach the peak, in order to walk out of Elysium, in order to explore higher realms, and even the legendary next great realm, Yi Chen could only destroy one obstacle after another. If people stood in his way, he would kill gods. And if Buddhas stood in his way, he would kill Buddhas. Intentionally or unintentionally, Yi Chen glanced at the mountain tortoise that was staring at him from thousands of miles away. Roar! On this day, the Blood-Winged Dragon King came for the 7th time. I've been waiting for you for a long time. Yi Chen looked at the Blood-Winged Dragon King with a burning fighting intent. The Blood-Winged Dragon King's huge emotionless eyes flickered with yellow light several times. To be honest, it was somewhat afraid of the human in front of it. Every time it exchanged blows with him, the latter's strength would always increase, as if there was no limit or limit. If it were not clear that the latter's Jin Yuan was almost exhausted, it would not have come at all. This time, I must kill him. With a low roar, the Blood-Winged Dragon King pounced at Yi Chen. Kill! Holding the sword with both hands, Yi Chen crushed the mountain under his feet, and soared straight up, sword chi crisscrossing everywhere. Less than 10% left. Golden Turtle Old Ancestor saw everything through the eyes of the mountain tortoise. Originally, before the Blood-Winged Dragon King came, he already had the idea of attacking. He was confident that he had a 90% chance of taking care of the opponent. But after thinking about it, he still gave up. After all, 90% was 90%, not 100%. He had already waited for so many days, so why would he care about a little more? When the Blood-Winged Dragon King leaves, it will be the time of your death. Golden Turtle Old Ancestor revealed a cold smile. Boom, boom, boom. Violent air waves swept in all directions. One man and one dragon fought hundreds of rounds in a short time. After all, the Blood-Winged Dragon King had the savage power, and its attack and defense speed were both astonishing. Plus, Yi Chen wanted to comprehend the merciless water and fire, so he did not plan to end the battle quickly. Therefore, this battle was even more intense than before. Swoosh! The dragon claw, as big as a millstone, tore over, and the space was immediately torn into a ragged state. Yi Chen's figure flashed, avoiding the claw. With a flash of sword light, the Blood-Winged Dragon King's right claw suddenly flew out. Roar! The Blood-Winged Dragon King discovered that although this exchange seemed intense, the other party seemed to be stronger. Its claws were filled with the power of desolation, and their hardness had increased by a level. However, when the other party's sword slashed over, the thin power of desolation did not have much effect. Without hesitation, the Blood-Winged Dragon King spat out dragon breath at Yi Chen. This dragon breath, it could only spit out once every few days. It was not a giant dragon, but it had the blood of a giant dragon. Even if it was a giant dragon, It could not spit out dragon breath without limit. Breakthrough. This time, Yi Chen did not dodge the dragon breath. Instead, he faced it head-on, pressing forward with an indomitable will. Just as the dragon breath was about to devour Yi Chen, a dark green flame suddenly ignited on Yi Chen's Sky Scorpio sword. As Yi Chen swung his sword, the dark green flame crazily rolled out. Silently, the yellow dragon breath was extinguished, turning into specks of yellow light and dissipating. The slightly weaker dark green flame, like a waterfall, streaked across the body of the Blood-Winged Dragon King. Puff! The Blood-Winged Dragon King's body slightly trembled, and in the next moment, its huge body exploded into a blood mist. A Zhenyuan giant hand reached in and grabbed a yellow beast core. All of this happened in the time it takes for a spark to fly off a flint. A mournful scream resounded, and the blood mist once again condensed into the Blood-Winged Dragon King. However, at this moment, it was 10 times more dispirited than before it spat out the dragon breath. But this was not surprising. The beast core that it had refined for countless years had been taken away, undoubtedly injuring its foundation. Who knew when it would recover to its peak state? Unwillingly glancing at Yi Chen, the Blood-Winged Dragon King spread its wings and flew high, disappearing into the leaden clouds. Now is the time. Golden Turtle Old Ancestor was startled by Yi Chen's last sword strike. That sword strike already had peak 4-star battle power. Fortunately, Yi Chen could not kill the Blood-Winged Dragon King with one sword strike. If he could, he would not be a peak 4-star, but an absolute 4-star tyrant. Peak 4-star battle power was not enough to scare Golden Turtle Old Ancestor, because he could see that Yi Chen did not even have 5% of Zhenyuan left in his body. He still hoped that Yi Chen would clash with him a few more times. This way, his Zhenyuan would be consumed faster, and he would not have the strength to escape. Whoosh! With a flash of golden light, Golden Turtle Old Ancestor flew rapidly in the direction of Yi Chen, like a dazzling golden meteor. Finally here? Yi Chen turned his head, and his cold eyes ignored the distance of space, and locked on to the golden meteor. Haha! Yi Chen, today is the day you die. Golden Turtle Old Ancestor laughed loudly, and clawed at him through the air. Boom! A large area of the mountain was plowed to the ground. The dragon claw, completely condensed from golden light, was extremely sharp, and the aura was rampant. Compared to the claws of the Blood-Winged Dragon King, it was unknown how many times more powerful it was. His body moved through the void, and Yi Chen avoided the claw, and appeared in front of Golden Turtle Old Ancestor. Golden Turtle Old Ancestor stopped, his expression grim. Yi Chen said, "Do you know why I let the Blood-Winged Dragon King go? Do you have the ability to kill the Blood-Winged Dragon King?" Golden Turtle Old Ancestor asked. "What can a mountain tortoise see? I didn't kill the Blood-Winged Dragon King, because I wanted to attract you here. If I show off too strong, I'm afraid you will just leave." In the last sword, Yi Chen only used 30% of his strength, because at that moment, his merciless water and fire had finally reached the great accomplishment, and its power was not inferior to ordinary top-tier profound martial arts. Combined with the Tier 6 Destruction Sword intent, it was easy to kill the Blood-Winged Dragon King. After all, the Blood-Winged Dragon King's strength was only 5-star advanced. How arrogant! Golden Turtle Old Ancestor didn't believe it, but Yi Chen's calm attitude made him feel like he had been fooled. His body expanded, and Golden Turtle Old Ancestor turned into his true form, Jinao. His huge body, like a dragon and a tortoise, crushed over. The space seemed to have lost its pillar, and heaven and earth were chaotic, with nowhere to borrow strength. This was a move he had developed for the titled monarchs, who were proficient in the profound of space, and it worked every time. Unless one ran away as soon as they came, there was no escape. Yi Chen didn't run. With the merciless water and fire at the great accomplishment, he didn't need to run anymore. Raising the Sky Scorpio sword in his hand, Yi Chen held it with both hands. After taking a deep breath, he heavily slashed out. Immediately, the raging green flame condensed into a green heavenly sword. With one slash, the horizon was split, and a green sword veil appeared. Half of Golden Turtle Old Ancestor's body was on the left and right side of the sword veil. Impossible! Golden Turtle Old Ancestor's body froze in the void, his eyes filled with fear. Bang! The green light exploded, and Golden Turtle Old Ancestor's body exploded into pieces. Blood arrows flew in all directions, but these blood arrows were immediately burned into nothingness as soon as they were caught by the green light. Chapter 969. Just when the countless blood arrows were about to be destroyed by the green light, one of the blood arrows suddenly changed. A thumb-sized Jin-Ao's silhouette roared and moved around inside the blood arrow. With the help of Jin-Ao's silhouette, the speed of this blood arrow instantly increased by 10 times. With a swoosh, it disappeared without a trace. Primordial blood escape. Yi-Chen slowly spat out a word. Primordial blood escape was an extremely powerful escape art, but it consumed a lot of soul power, and it was a permanent consumption. The soul was a person's foundation. Only with a strong soul could one unleash their strength to the limit. If the soul was weak, other aspects would undoubtedly be restricted. Therefore, unless it was a matter of life and death, very few people would use primordial blood escape. Of course, primordial blood escape wasn't something everyone could use. Very few people knew about it, and even fewer people could learn it. Yi-Chen had also heard about this escape art from Yuan Emperor. Peak 5-star battle prowess is indeed not something people like Old Ancestor Blackwater can compare to. Among the monarchs that Yi-Chen had fought before, Old Ancestor Redwater and Old Ancestor Blackwater were the easiest to kill, because their immortal bodies hadn't reached the blood rebirth realm. Old Ancestor Yellow Robe was much harder to kill, but Old Ancestor Golden Turtle was 10 times harder. Time to go back and recover Zhen Yuan. At this time, Yi-Chen still had about 1/30th of the Zhen Yuan in his body. Usually 1/10 was the warning line, and right now, it was undoubtedly below the warning line. Damn it. In the void turbulence, a blood arrow flew back and forth. Golden Turtle Ancestor had never been so miserable before. Not only was his body destroyed, but he was also forced to use the primordial spirit blood escape. Although he was at the blood rebirth realm, and his body was destroyed, he was fine. However, the demon power he consumed would take at least a few months to recover. Compared to the great loss of cultivation, the consumption of his soul made Golden Turtle Ancestor feel more pain. Once used, primordial blood escape would incessantly burn the soul. Since learning this escape art, Old Ancestor Golden Turtle had never used it. He didn't expect that he would have to use it this time. Why is his strength increasing so quickly? This is simply preposterous. The Elder of Golden Turtle Island was furious, but at the same time, he felt a tinge of fear. He had roamed Elysium for hundreds of years, and it was not that he had not seen geniuses before. However, this was the first time he had seen such a genius. Was it worth it to be enemies with such a genius? He began to consider. Perhaps it was time to stop. He hoped that Yi-Chen would forget about this matter. Who is it? Suddenly, Great Ancestor Golden Turtle roared. The blood arrow expanded and turned into a human body. Golden Turtle Great Ancestor, long time no see. A figure broke through space and appeared in the void. Nirvana Demon Emperor. Golden Turtle Great Ancestor narrowed his eyes. Nirvana Demon Emperor smiled. Looks like you've been injured quite badly. What? Do you think that I can't do anything to you just because I'm injured? Golden Turtle Great Ancestor said so, but his eyes were full of vigilance. Nirvana Demon Emperor was not simple. Last time on Elixir King Island, he had already sensed this person's strength. Moreover, during the battle between the two sides, he faintly felt an uncomfortable aura from the other party. Golden Turtle Great Ancestor. Actually, we can become friends. Nirvana Demon Emperor seemed to have sensed Golden Turtle Great Ancestor's nervousness. The corner of his mouth opened, revealing a sinister smile. Friends? What a joke. Why should I be friends with you? Do you want me to deal with Yi-Chen together with you? To tell you the truth, the current Yi-Chen, even if you and I join forces, we may not be able to do anything to him. I don't intend to be enemies with him. Oh, I didn't expect that you, who has always been overbearing, would take the initiative to give in. However, if you don't intend to be enemies with Yi-Chen may not let you go. Before that, you plan to destroy his Yi clan. If not for the help of Demon Flower Emperor and Xianhou, the entire Yi clan would have been dead long ago. So what? At worst, I'll just hide from the world. Golden Turtle Great Ancestor really didn't want to be enemies with Yi Chen. His own potential had already been exhausted, and he could only improve a little bit after countless years. On the other hand, Yi Chen had grown so much in just a few months. Being enemies with him was really not a wise thing to do. This time, he would go into closed-door training again, and only come out when the great calamity of the foreign races arrived. Who would have thought that the great golden turtle great ancestor would be scared out of his wits by a genius who had just entered the life and death realm? What a pity! Nirvana Demon Emperor shook his head. Whatever you say, I don't have time to waste with you. A golden light flashed, and Golden Turtle Great Ancestor was about to leave. Why are you in such a hurry to leave? Perhaps you misunderstood me. I want you to be my friend, not your person, but your body. How can you, Golden Turtle Great Ancestor, become my friend? Nirvana Demon Emperor smiled, and a powerful evil domain burst out, enveloping Golden Turtle Great Ancestor. Damn, you are not Nirvana Demon Emperor. I can't accept this. The voice gradually faded away. Returning to Yi family, Yi Chen immediately went into seclusion, using the 99 Origin Return Great Array to recover his Zhen Yuan. At the same time, the sky above chaotic demon ocean was filled with lingering dark clouds. This was not because the weather was bad, but because of the dark clouds in one's heart. On this day, a large number of human kings and beast kings had gathered at the center of chaotic demon ocean, surrounding the island where the 10 great families resided. As time passed, more and more human kings and beast kings arrived. There were those from True Spirit Continent, Blood Sky Continent, Sky Sword Continent, and even some kings from the ocean. Nobody had counted the number of kings in Elysium. Just True Spirit Continent alone had about 100 kings, which was roughly an increase of 10 every 100 years. Although Blood Sky Continent and Sky Sword Continent had fewer kings, they definitely exceeded 100 in total. Moreover, there were also kings living in the ocean. In other words, in Elysium, the human race alone had more than 300 kings, not to mention the demi-beasts and demi-beasts. At this moment, the number of kings gathered in chaotic demon ocean had exceeded 100, and was increasing with every passing moment. There were low-level kings, mid-level kings, high-level kings, peak kings, and even titled monarchs. Waves of kings' aura converged together, causing the entire chaotic demon ocean to change color, as if doomsday had arrived. What's happening? Some of the cultivators who had come to chaotic demon ocean in search of resources felt the boundless king's aura, and their legs turned soft. Even their voices were trembling. Kings descending upon chaotic demon ocean. Could it be that they are preparing to bathe the demonic human clan in blood? Some people seem to have guessed something. Chaotic demon ocean's demonic human clan has always been tyrannical. Who would have thought that such a day would come? Times have changed, and Elysium is going to change. In the past, many people had been bullied by the demonic human clan in chaotic demon ocean, but they had never thought that the demonic human clan would provoke so many kings. It was beyond their imagination. There were 5 Lotus Islands in chaotic demon ocean. On the outer 4 Lotus Islands, dozens of demonic human kings walked out of their palaces. They looked at each other in fear. Patriarch is right. Our demonic human clan will face this calamity. This is too much. Why can't the vast true spirit world contain my trifling demonic human clan? For countless years, my clan has never stepped foot on the 3 continents. Only a few clans have lived on the 3 continents. Although we're a bit tyrannical in our own territories, we're always cautious in other places, and don't easily offend others. Cassiopeia King's face was full of bitterness. She had thought that the demonic human clan would only act in secret. She had never thought that the kings of Elysium would attack the demonic human clan in such a large scale. Why was it like this? Her heart was filled with confusion and despair. Taking a deep breath, Cassiopeia King stood up and said loudly, I wonder what matter you have come to my chaotic demon ocean to discuss? Since the patriarch was not here, she was the only one who could represent the demonic human clan. Besides Su King, the Sky Ethereal King said expressionlessly. We have two matters. First, tell us how to find the demonic human village. Second, accept our control. Hearing these two conditions, Cassiopeia King's expression changed. She said with a pale face, we don't know where the demonic human village is. As for accepting our control, how is that possible? Accepting their control was equivalent to putting her life in the hands of the other party. The other party could kill her if they wanted to. Then find someone who knows the demonic human village. As for the second condition, you have to accept it even if you don't want it. Otherwise, the demonic human clan will cease to exist in the chaotic demon ocean. The Sky Ethereal King was Su King's representative. His words were the will of Su King, as well as all the kings who had come. You guys are going too far. The Flash Demon King could not help but say. The Jail King sneered. For countless years, various alien calamities have been happening. Who knows if the demonic human village is behind all of them? Perhaps the demonic human village is the place where the alien races are hiding. Absolutely impossible. Cassiopeia King refuted. Impossible is not something you can say with your mouth. Tell us where the demonic human village is. Otherwise, you guys will not be able to bear the consequences. The one who spoke was Zhan Tianxiang Emperor. In my opinion, why waste words with them? Kill half of them first. Let's see if they still dare to be stubborn. The Black Dragon Patriarch was an old man in black robes. He had a wide mouth and a prominent nose, and he looked very domineering. Cassiopeia King and the other demonic human kings had ugly expressions. At this moment, they had been forced to the edge of a cliff. If they took a step back, it would be doomsday. If they took a step forward, it would be doomsday. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Suddenly, a dozen figures flew over. The one in the lead was the white-clothed woman Xianhou. Behind her were human kings and demonic beast kings. Everyone, what's the matter? Why don't we sit down and talk? Xianhou frowned. She had not expected that the plan against the demonic human clan would have such a change. However, she was a little curious as to what kind of place the demonic human village was. Since ancient times, the reason why countless kings had targeted the demonic human clan was not because they were afraid of the demonic human clan, but because of the demonic human village. Therefore, she felt that they could talk about the first condition. After all, no one was willing to believe that there was an unknown place hidden in Elysium. Moreover, that place might be filled with danger. Chapter 970. Yan Qingxian, you don't have to worry about this. Su King, who had been silent all this while, finally spoke. Mysterious Queen glanced at the Lotus Island and said, no matter what, the demonic human clan is still a force to be reckoned with. By doing this, we are pushing them to the opposite side. The foreign race's calamity hasn't arrived yet, but we are already in a mess. Wouldn't this be a joke to the other foreign races hiding in the dark? I feel that we can just sit down and talk. There's no need to go to war. Zhan Tianxiang Emperor sneered. This time is different from the past. It might be the biggest alien race calamity since ancient times. We must deal with the outside world first. Otherwise, we will be the ones to suffer. If the demonic humans are innocent, why would they mind letting us know where the demonic homeland is? Right, we won't be at ease until we find the demonic homeland. Some kings agreed. They couldn't be blamed for being aggressive. The demonic humans in Elysium weren't scary on the surface, but the mysterious demonic homeland wasn't under their control. Cassiopeia King said, throughout history, only the Patriarch knows where the demonic homeland is. We don't know. At this moment, the evil king, who used to be as famous as Xianhou, Jail King, and the others stood up. I heard a secret rumor that the demonic homeland is a demonic land. The rules there are completely different from those in Elysium. It's very suitable for demons to live there. Therefore, the demonic humans mustn't be taken by the demons. It must be under our control, and the demonic humans must also accept our control. If you betray us and give the demonic homeland and the chaotic demonic ocean to the demons, they will have a chance to grow stronger. The chaotic demonic ocean was full of demonic energy, which could allow the demons to recover their demonic energy faster. Everyone, do you really want to know where the demonic homeland is? Just as the evil king finished speaking, a clear and cold voice descended from the sky. Everyone raised their heads and looked over. Unknowingly when the Devil Flower Emperor dressed in a gorgeous black robe had appeared. Patriarch, King Kasayapa, and the others quickly bowed and cupped their fists. The Demon Flower Emperor waved his hand. He looked at Su King's group and said, "The Human Devil Village is a secret of my demonic human clan. However, aside from the demonic human clan, it is not unknown to others. Since ancient times, every monarch knew where the Human Devil Village was and added a seal to it. Up until now, there have been several hundred seals placed on the Human Devil Village. The last one was added by the Yuan Emperor." "What exactly is in the Human Demon Village?" Su King asked. The Demon Flower Emperor said, "A demon ancestral tree that came from the demons. The Human Devil Village is a space that was opened up by a demon emperor in ancient times. He planted a demon ancestral tree in it to change the rules of this space and make it the habitat of the demons. After the end of the ancient war, every monarch would use a method to seal the Human Devil Village to prevent the aura of the Human Devil Village from leaking out and bringing disaster to Elysium." Demon Ancestral Tree. Many people who had heard of the Demon Ancestral Tree were shocked. The Demon Ancestral Tree was the tree of life in the world of the demons. It was said that no matter how injured the demons were, as long as their souls were not destroyed, they could recover under the Demon Ancestral Tree. The Demon Ancestral Tree was equivalent to the Undying Tree in Elysium's legends. As soon as the Demon Flower Emperor said this, many people became silent. "This is just your words. No matter what, let us see the Human Devil Village first." After a long silence, the Sky Sword Continent's Azure Cloud Sword Emperor spoke. The Demon Flower Emperor nodded. "Since you want to see it, I can agree. However, I have to remind you that the seal of the Human Devil Village can still last for 100 years. However, once it comes out, the Demon Ancestral Tree will awaken in advance. Perhaps in just a few years, all the seals will be broken. At that time, no one will be able to seal it again. Let's not see it." The Demon Flower Emperor doesn't seem to be lying. That's right. The outsider's great calamity is already difficult enough. With the addition of the Demon Ancestral Tree, who can stop it? Some of the kings looked at each other in disgust. The evil king laughed loudly and said, "With several hundred seals, even if the Demon Ancestral Tree wants to break free, I'm afraid it won't be that easy. Moreover, what's the difference between 100 years and a few years? It will still be a disaster for Elysium. Instead of waiting, it's better to see if it's true or not. At least we can be at ease." The evil king is right. Now bring us to the Human Devil Village. If what you said is true, this matter will be over. Su King lowered his eyes. When he raised them again, he said, "All right." The Demon Flower Emperor knew that if he didn't let everyone see the Human Devil Village, the Human Devil clan's disaster would be right in front of them. In order to preserve the Human Devil clan, it was necessary to expose the Human Devil Village. "I don't know the location of the Human Devil Village, but I can summon it." The Demon Flower Emperor's expression was solemn. He started forming seals with his hands. At first, the seals weren't fast. Everyone could see them clearly. But as time passed, the seals became so fast that they looked like phantoms. In an instant, dozens of seals were formed. As time passed, a boundless fluctuation burst out of the Demon Flower Emperor's body and radiated into the depths of the void. Rumble. The sound of chains rubbing against each other came from the depths of the void. It was getting clearer and clearer. About the time it took to make a cup of tea later, the sound of the chains rubbing against each other became 100 times louder. A huge object was dragged out of the void. Terrifying demonic power fluctuations swept out in all directions. The sky above the chaotic demonic ocean was so dark that one couldn't even see their fingers in front of them. This kind of darkness wasn't the darkness of the starry sky, but the kind that devoured everything. Such terrifying fluctuations. The expressions of most of the kings changed. They had never felt such a terrifying energy aura before. In front of this energy aura, they seemed so insignificant, like they were floating. They couldn't even think of resisting. The huge object that had been dragged out was a spherical space. It was about 100,000 meters in diameter. It wasn't very big, but everyone knew that although this space didn't look big from the outside, there was definitely something else inside. After all, the size of a space couldn't be determined with the naked eye. This is the Human Devil Village? Someone doubt it. From the name, the Human Devil Village should be related to the human devils. Could it be that the human devil race lived in this spherical space? When they looked again, everyone's expressions changed. So many seals. The exterior of the spherical space was covered in circles of runes. These runes could be easily distinguished. Some runes were tadpole-shaped, some were T-shaped, some were yin and yang runes, some were small people, and some were translucent. Every rune gave off extremely powerful fluctuations. As the spherical space appeared, the fluctuations became stronger and stronger. The runes also started to move, moving irregularly around the spherical space. This is too terrifying. Previously, they had heard from the Demon Flower Emperor that there were hundreds of seals in the Human Devil Village. Each seal represented the means of a titled monarch. At that time, they hadn't thought much of it, but now they were all shocked. In ancient times, titled monarchs had to have at least 7-star battle prowess. They knew that they wouldn't be able to break each seal in their lifetime. With hundreds of seals stacked together, it was extremely terrifying. However, they could also see that many of the seals' runes had become blurry. It seemed that as time passed, the rune's power would gradually dissipate until it disappeared. Among the many runes, the clearest one was the Golden Yuan rune. Without a doubt, this was the seal left by the last titled monarch, the Yuan Emperor. It was also the strongest seal in the spherical space. The fluctuations it emitted seemed like any strand of it could crush space and destroy everything. Look, there seems to be a black tree inside. A person pointed at the interior of the spherical space and blurted out. Everyone activated their eyesight to the limit and looked over. It is indeed a black tree, but it also seems to be a shadow created by the folding of space. From the outside, it was difficult to tell whether it was a tree or not. Soul power couldn't penetrate the spherical space barrier to see what was inside, so everyone could only guess. Demon Flower Emperor, are you lying to us? No matter how I look at it, this doesn't look like the Human Devil Village. The Zhan Tianxiang Emperor questioned. Hearing this, everyone looked at the Demon Flower Emperor. The Demon Flower Emperor explained. In ancient times, the Demon's Emperor transplanted a demon ancestral tree inside. But later, the demon ancestral tree was destroyed by the first titled monarch, the ancient emperor. With the defeat of the demons, this space became the habitat of the Human Devil clan. But later, no one expected that a seed of the demon ancestral tree would germinate inside. Countless people were devoured and became its nourishment. At that time, the patriarch of the Human Devil clan had no choice but to give up this space, and was the first to use a method to seal it. Therefore, this place was called the Human Devil Village a long time ago. The first titled monarch, who sealed the Human Devil Village, was the patriarch of the Human Devil clan at that time. That patriarch was an invincible figure in that era. I see. Xianhou nodded. Boom. Just as the Demon Flower Emperor was explaining, the runes on the surface of the spherical space suddenly collapsed. There were hundreds of them, and half of them were translucent. The collapsed ones were the most transparent ones. Not good. Even if they hadn't eaten pork before, they had seen pigs run. How could they not understand that the seal had been broken? Boom, boom, boom. This was just the beginning. Soon, dozens of transparent seals disappeared. As the number of seals decreased, the mana fluctuations emitted by the spherical space became even stronger. Everyone could faintly feel that the surrounding Elysium law seemed to be distorted by the mana fluctuations, which made them feel extremely uncomfortable. If I had known this would happen, I wouldn't have summoned the Human Devil Village. No, the demonic space. Some of the weaker monarchs were regretting their actions. While the Demon Flower Emperor was secretly angry, she couldn't say anything. She formed seals with both hands, which were completely different from the previous seals. This was a seal that sent the demonic space into the depths of the void. Clatter. The sound of metal chains rubbing against each other resounded, as the demonic space gradually entered the void. However, the moment it entered the void, many people saw that the runes outside the demonic space had decreased by dozens. The mana fluctuations caused the void to boil, and spatial storms appeared frequently. The Elysium law was distorted and shattered, and foreign laws were formed. This was the law of the world of demons. Fortunately, the Demon Flower Emperor's hand seals were very fast, and the demonic space instantly disappeared. The mana fluctuations also gradually dissipated, and the Elysium law recovered. Chapter 971. Slowly letting out a breath, Demon Flower Emperor lowered his hands and looked at Su King's group. I've already shown you the demonic human village. It is not a place of filth. Can you leave my chaotic demon ocean now? Hee. Battle Sky Elephant Emperor chuckled. As you said, the demonic human village is indeed not what we imagined. However, the threat your clan poses to Elysium is not small either. Sky Illusion King has already stated the purpose of coming here. One is to investigate the demonic human village, and the other is for your clan to submit to our control. Demon Flower Emperor, you're a smart person. You should know what choice you'll make. Sky Illusion King reminded Demon Flower Emperor. Demon Flower Emperor's face turned cold. What if I say no? You'd better not say no. Your choice will decide the life and death of the demonic human race. We have nearly 200 life and death kings on our side. Even if only a third of us stand out, it'll be enough to sweep through the entire chaotic demon ocean and flatten the entire demonic human race. Jail King said coldly. Ridiculous. Demon Flower Emperor sneered. From ancient times until now, there has never been a movement to exterminate the demonic human clan. In this era, Elysium is in a weakened state, and you're forcing my clan instead. If those titled monarchs of ancient times were to come back to life, they would definitely be angered to death by your actions. Saying so much is useless. What the titled monarchs of ancient times would not do, I will do in this era. I believe they will approve of my actions. Su King's eyelids drooped as he said indifferently. Su King, although you're the #1 expert here, it's not that I, Demon Flower Emperor, am looking down on you, but you'll never be worthy of being mentioned in the same breath as the titled monarchs of ancient times. Cut the crap. Demon Flower Emperor, you managed to escape last time in the Blood Sky continent. Let's see how you're going to escape this time. Last time, the Demon Flower Emperor and Xianhou had come to Blood Sky continent to attack Terminator Demon Sect, which made Zhang Tianxiang Emperor lose a lot of face. He had long since wanted to give the Demon Flower Emperor a taste of bitterness. However, he also knew that with his speed, he couldn't catch up to the Demon Flower Emperor. This was an opportunity, with the demonic human clan as a hindrance, and nearly 200 life and death kings present. The Demon Flower Emperor couldn't leave, nor could he. From a few miles away, the Zhang Tianxiang Emperor threw a punch at the Demon Flower Emperor. The tyrannical fist force filled the entire world, and the force was overflowing. Battle Celestial Elephant Emperor. If you want to fight, I'll accompany you. The Demon Flower Emperor let out a delicate shout, and slapped out with her palm to meet Zhang Tianxiang Emperor's attack. Boom boom boom. Both of them were well-known figures among titled monarchs. As soon as they exchanged blows, an aura that seemed to be able to destroy everything appeared. The space constantly shattered and shattered like a mirror. Puff! All of a sudden, the Demon Flower Emperor's face paled, and he spurted out a small mouthful of blood. Haha, Demon Flower Emperor, you're only Esozo. The Zhang Tianxiang Emperor became more and more valiant. A powerful aura coiled around his body, emitting an ancient battle elephant trumpeting sound. The Demon Flower Emperor's strength has decreased? Xianhou saw some clues. Among the crowd, Five Poison King revealed a sneer. The Demon Flower Emperor had been poisoned by his Rong Yuan poison, and it was impossible to expel it. The only way was to seal the majority of his cultivation base, and temporarily seal the poison. However, this way, his battle power wouldn't be able to reach its peak, without his cultivation base being at its peak. It would be good if he could reach 80 or 90%. In this world, aside from the Spirit Dan King, no one can cure the Rong Yuan poison. 5 Poison King crossed his arms in front of his chest and watched the battle. When the Demon Flower Emperor was at her peak, the Zhan Tianxiang Emperor was on par with her. Now that her strength had decreased, it was naturally difficult for her to resist the Zhan Tianxiang Emperor's violent attacks. She retreated step by step, and her face became paler and paler. Demon Flower Emperor, lose for me. The Zhan Tianxiang Emperor let out a long roar and leaped up, directly attacking the Demon Flower Emperor's face with a domineering fist aura. Kacha! The Demon Flower Emperor's arms in front of her chest made a bone-cracking sound, and she was sent flying. If it wasn't for her immortal body, this blow was enough to make her lose her battle power. Zhan Tianxiang Emperor, I'll fight with you. Xianhou suddenly moved, wanting to stop the unforgiving Zhan Tianxiang Emperor. Yan Qingxian, you should go back. Not far away from Su King, the Air Emperor's figure flashed, and when he reappeared, he was already in front of Xianhou, sending Xianhou flying with a punch. In terms of space profound, he was not inferior to Xianhou, and in terms of foundation, he was superior to Xianhou. Fight with them. Seeing that the Demon Flower Emperor was injured, the Kasayapa King and the other kings of the demonic human clan were furious, and they rushed forward. Mantis trying to stop a chariot, overestimating themselves. The Sky Ethereal King sneered and said, "Everyone, since the demonic human clan is so stubborn, then there is no need for us to be polite. Today, we must eliminate the hidden danger of Elysium, so that we can use all our strength to deal with the catastrophe of the foreign races, and leave a bright world for our descendants." Sky Ethereal King is right. We have given the demonic human clan a choice, but they are not willing to accept it. Kill. Those who did not come were either hesitant or had other reasons. Of those who came, 80 to 90% were the radicals who wanted to eliminate the demonic human clan. Almost 90% of them stood up, ready to bathe the demonic human clan in blood. A great war was about to begin. AI. Xianhou sighed, turned around, and said to the people she had brought, "I will stay to help the demonic human clan. If you are not willing to help, you can leave. I will not blame you." Xianhou, don't worry. Since I have come with you, I will not choose to leave. They have gone too far. The Demon Flower Emperor has already taken a step back, summoning the demonic land where the demon ancestral tree is sealed, violating the ancestors' will. But they still won't let the demonic human clan go. They should be punished. That's right. What has the demonic human clan done wrong? Just because they have the bloodline of the demons, they must be eliminated? I, Earth Yuan King, may only be a high-level monarch, but I will not stand by and do nothing. Back then, Dragon King and Xianhou were the representatives who wanted to protect the demonic human clan. Many people followed them. Although Su King and the others were strong, some didn't follow them due to various reasons. But there were still a few who came without any hesitation. Among them, none of them were monarchs, but they were all hot-blooded. If you want to destroy the demonic human clan, you will have to ask me, the innate demon emperor, first. In the distance, a group of people suddenly came over. The person in the lead had broad shoulders and a tall body. He wore a dark silver robe, and the demonic energy ripples that his body emitted were quite similar to the Demon Flower Emperor's. But there were also some differences. It was clearly more berserk. It is the Blood Heaven Land's clan master, the innate demon emperor. Someone shouted. In true spirit world, there were many demonic human clans, but the two largest ones were the Chaotic Demon Ocean's demonic human clan and the Blood Sky Continent's demonic human clan. The patriarch of the Chaotic Demon Ocean's demonic human clan was the Demonic Flower Emperor, while the patriarch of the Blood Sky Continent's demonic human clan was the Innate Demon Emperor. Innate Demon Emperor didn't have the perfect demonic human bloodline, but he had mastered the complete demonic transformation. At the life and death realm, he could also possess demonic power after the transformation. In terms of strength, Innate Demon Emperor wasn't much weaker than the Demon Flower Emperor. Originally, Su King and the others planned to take control of the Chaotic Demon Ocean's demonic human clan first, then go to Blood Heaven Land and take control of the Blood Heaven Land's demonic human clan. Unexpectedly, Innate Demon Emperor had already received the news and brought all the monarchs of his clan. Behind innate demon emperor, there were more than 10 demonic human kings, similar to those in the chaotic demon ocean. They all had the same hatred for the demonic human clan, and their eyes were filled with unflinching fear. The Blood Heavenlands bloodline is here. Cassiopeia King's face lit up. Although they only had 40 to 50 monarchs with the addition of the Blood Heavenlands bloodline, which was still far inferior to the monarchs on Su King's side, at least their strength had increased by a lot. They're all here? Fine. Let's deal with them all at once. Su King's expression didn't change as he said indifferently, Demon Flower Emperor, this should be the first time we fight side by side, right? Innate Demon Emperor said to the weak Demon Flower Emperor. Demon Flower Emperor nodded. Yes, I hope it's not the last time. Whether it's the last time or not, Innate Demon Emperor, will fight until the end. Innate Demon Emperor's gaze swept across everyone on Su King's side, and his demonic power surged again. His aura turned the space blurry, and his figure became indistinct like a black shadow. Hee, Innate Demon Emperor, I didn't expect the cowardly you to also come. The reason why Zhan Tianxiang Emperor mocked Innate Demon Emperor as a cowardly mouse was because the demonic human race was the weakest in Blood Heaven Land. Both the human race and the demonic race were above the demonic human race, and the demonic race was the overlord of Blood Heaven Land. Innate Demon Emperor usually kept a low profile, and it was rare to see him come out. Is that so? Innate Demon Emperor didn't reply, as if he didn't want to explain. With the arrival of Innate Demon Emperor, the atmosphere above chaotic demon ocean became even more intense. Countless killing intents interweaved together, and it was 100 times colder than winter. Ordinary Sea of Soul Realm experts simply couldn't survive here. This was the battlefield of kings, and only kings had the qualifications to interfere. In the end, everyone's gaze fell on Su King. There were many titled monarchs present, but in terms of influence and strength, Su King was naturally the leader. His attitude could sway many people. As long as he made a move, this battle would be unavoidable. However, most people knew that Su King's attitude had already been made clear. Yen Qingxian, I'll give you one more chance. Leave this place, Su King said to Xianhou. Xianhou shook her head. Kill. Shifting his gaze away from the mysterious queen, the illusionary emperor said emotionlessly. Kill. As soon as Su King opened his mouth, the atmosphere in the sky flared up. It was as if a titan steel wire had snapped. The majority of people started circulating their Zhen Yuan or demonic power, and a king's aura soared into the sky. Who dares to kill? Just at this moment, a thunderous roar resounded from afar. That shocking aura was like a peerless treasured sword, mercilessly piercing through the atmosphere, causing everyone to subconsciously want to dodge, as if they didn't dodge, they would be killed by that sword. Yi Chen had arrived. Chapter 972. Yi Chen. It's Yi Chen. Sure enough he came. Nobody dared to look down on the most dazzling genius of this era, a sword Dao genius. Not long after entering Life and Death Realm, he dared to challenge Demon Emperor, and killed 3 titled monarchs, Yellow-Robed Old Monster, Black Water Ancestor, and Red Water Ancestor. Who would dare to look down on him? Given enough time, he would definitely surpass the ancient Sword King, and become the #1 Sword Dao expert since ancient times. Yi Chen. A faint smile appeared on Demon Flower Emperor's face. She knew that the other party wouldn't go back on his words. No matter how powerful the enemy was, he would still rush over without any hesitation. Sword artists were proud, and Yi Chen was a noble among sword artists. This sword aura. He's made another breakthrough. Sword aura was different from sword intent. Although sword aura was a transition period for sword intent, sword aura would grow stronger as one's strength grew. It was unlike sword intent, which was extremely pure and couldn't tolerate anything else. Judging from this sword aura that could pierce through the sky, Yi Chen's strength had undoubtedly increased again. Even she couldn't see through it. He's the Yi Chen that Kuang Zun spoke of. Innate Demon Emperor was the patriarch of Blood Sky Continent's demonic human clan. The clan's genius, Tai Kuangzuan, had once told him about Yi Chen's deeds. Demon Flower Emperor has made a good ally. Innate Demon Emperor could sense the unruly and willpower of this sword aura. The newcomer was precisely Yi Chen. However, he didn't come alone. Behind him were a large number of life and death kings. Tantai Clan's Moon Empress by Clan's Patriarch, Duga Clan's Patriarch, Blood Sky Continent's Demonic Blade Sex Patriarch, Demonic Blade King, as well as Pill King Island's Patriarch, Spirit Pill King. All of them were famous kings. Adding the kings of their clans and sects, as well as some solitary kings, the total number had already exceeded 30. Spirit Pill King. Su King frowned. Yi Chen's arrival was within his expectations, but the appearance of the Spirit Pill King surprised him. The Spirit Pill King might not be strong, but the status of the Spirit Pill King Island in Elysium was extraordinary. Even Su King wasn't willing to be enemies with the Spirit Pill King Island. The Spirit Dan King smiled and said, "My grandson is Yi Chen's eldest disciple." This time, he came to see the scenery with Yi Chen. Hearing this, everyone curled their lips. Enjoy the scenery? What scenery was there to enjoy here? They had probably already boarded Yi Chen's warship and become Yi Chen's allies. I'm late. Yi Chen looked at the Demon Flower Emperor in Xianhou. Not long after he returned to the Yi family, he found out from a secret channel that Su King and the rest had gathered a large number of kings to go to chaotic Demon Ocean. There was no time for him to slowly recover his Zhen Yuan. Therefore, he refined all the Zhen Yuan crystals he had obtained from the Devouring Island, temporarily recovering his cultivation base to 60 to 70%. Then, he started to contact kings who were interested in befriending him. Perhaps because of his great reputation, everyone had confidence in his future, and the majority of people were willing to follow him. In a short period of time, he had gathered more than 30 kings and rushed over without stopping. A bit later would have been troublesome, but now is the time. The Demon Flower Emperor let out a sigh of relief. Adding the people brought by Yi Chen, they had 80 to 90 people on their side. Although it was still less than half of the opponents, they at least had the strength to fight back. Yi Chen, you are my disciple Sikong Sheng's heart devil. As his master, I've come to ask for some advice today. I want to see what kind of mysteries you have. The Evil King flew out. The Evil King was a king on the same level as Xianhou, Hell King and Dragon King. Currently he was also a titled monarch. Judging from his aura, he seemed to be even stronger than Hell King. As for Sikong Sheng, he had already become Evil King's disciple a few years ago. Evil King, you are not my opponent. Hearing the name Sikong Sheng, Yi Chen's expression didn't change in the slightest. As far as he was concerned, this name was a very old memory, belonging to the past. Arrogant, when had the Evil King ever been looked down upon? Moreover, it was a rookie like Yi Chen. Evil God Claw. The Evil King's weapon was a pair of claws, blue and gold in color. Spreading his 5 fingers, he clawed at Yi Chen. The sinister claws tore the space apart, exuding an evil chi. Clang! Facing the furious attack of the Evil King, Yi Chen only pulled out the Sky Scorpio sword and swung it horizontally, precisely blocking the claws. Instantly, a light blue flame exploded. Yi Chen didn't move an inch, while the Evil King's body swayed slightly, his footsteps becoming unsteady. Yi Chen's sword arts had already reached the level of controlling the sword with his heart, and there were no flaws to speak of. A casual sword strike had already cut through the weak point of the Evil King's attack. The Evil King was slightly startled. Closing his left hand into a beak shape, he suddenly pecked at Yi Chen's temple. This move was called Evil Bird Sunstrike, and if hit, one's head would definitely explode. Yi Chen didn't dodge. Instead, the power on the Sky Scorpio sword increased by 30%, slightly bending like a drawn bow. In the next second, the Sky Scorpio sword straightened, and the sword energy exploded, bouncing the Evil King away. The beak-shaped light merely flashed in front of Yi Chen's body, not even touching his protective Zhen Yuan. Evil King, you're far from being my opponent. Yi Chen shook his head. The Evil King was only slightly stronger than the Jail King, and even the Jail King couldn't withstand one move from Yi Chen, not to mention the Evil King. Moreover, Yi Chen's merciless water and fire had already reached completion, and he was no longer a match for ordinary titled monarchs. Among everyone here, perhaps only Su King could fight him. Hearing this, the evil king's face alternated between green and white. In front of so many kings, he was sent flying by Yi Chen's sword. And he didn't even have the qualifications to threaten the latter. This was simply a humiliation. In the crowd, the jail king was rejoicing in the evil king's misfortune. He and the evil king weren't on good terms. Although he had also suffered at the hands of Yi Chen. At least it wasn't in front of so many people. But soon after, the jail king felt a chill in his heart. Compared to the previous time, Yi Chen's sword arts seemed to be even more mysterious. Just an ordinary sword move was enough to neutralize the evil king's ultimate move. How could he know that the completion of merciless water and fire had not only given Yi Chen a super sword move, but it had also allowed Yi Chen to comprehend the essence of thousands of sword arts from the sword world. This was an increase in one's foundation, and it had the power to turn something rotten into something magical. The evil king flew into a rage out of humiliation. Evil bird seizes the sun. The evil bird seizing the sun was one of the 2 killing moves of the evil god claw art. It was several times more powerful than the evil bird attacking the sun. More importantly, this attack was majestic, unlike the evil bird attacking the sun, which was fast and precise. Pouring all of his Zhen Yuan into the claw, the evil king's entire body leaped toward Yi Chen and pecked at him. Screech! A sound sharper than any other ferocious bird rang out. An evil and ferocious bird image spread its wings and flew toward Yi Chen, its claws as sharp as blades. This move has more flaws, but it's more powerful. The Sky Scorpio sword spun in the air as Yi Chen stabbed out, piercing the head of the bird image. In the next moment, the bird image's head exploded and its body scattered. The moment the sharp claws touched Yi Chen's protective Zhen Yuan, they disintegrated helplessly and dissipated. Yi Chen, you've lost. Just as the bird image disappeared, the evil king's body arrived. Actually, evil bird seizes the sun was only his cover. The true killing move would come later. Rumble! An even bigger bird appeared out of nowhere, swallowing Yi Chen in one gulp. Evil bird seizes the sun was a move very close to a top-grade profound sense martial skill. Not good. The life and death kings on Yi Chen's side were startled, thinking that Yi Chen had been careless and allowed the evil king to turn the tables. After all, both sides had 5-star battle strength. If one side was careless, it wasn't impossible for the other to turn the tables. Only Xianhou, Demon Flower Emperor, an innate demon emperor knew that things weren't so simple. Evil king, you can be considered as the most brilliant genius of your era. However, your research in martial skills has disappointed me. This is also the biggest reason why you can't compete with Senior Yen. A sword light shot out from the void, piercing through the bird image's body and slashing toward the evil king. The evil king was like a startled grasshopper as he bounced off, wanting to avoid this sword light. However, Yi Chen seemed to have already predicted his dodging path. The sword light turned and pierced through the evil king's body. Void Yuan Chop. Yuan Emperor's ultimate move. Yi Chen had long since seen through it and modified it according to his own style. Although its might wasn't as powerful as the original Void Yuan Chop, its subtlety was not inferior. Poochie! Blood splattered in the sky as the evil king miserably tumbled away. The flesh on his chest wriggled and quickly recovered. However, he had lost at least a third of his cultivation base. This sword had the power to destroy everything. Enough! Su King stopped the unwilling evil king and said indifferently, "Now is not the time to ask for advice. What's the point of winning against someone who's about to die?" Humph! The evil king coldly snorted as a sharp light flickered in his eyes. Yi Chen raised his brows and looked at Su King. Su King, no matter who wins or loses in this battle, it will be Elysium's battle strength that will be damaged. Do you think this is necessary? When you killed the yellow-robed old monster, and the other two, did you think of this? They wanted to kill me, so their deaths are not to be regretted. However, this is an all-out battle. It's not just 1 or 2 people dying. Su King looked down at Yi Chen. To me, eradicating the demonic human tribe is something I must do. As for losing you guys, it's your own fault. I don't know why the Spirit Pill King wants to help you, but as long as he kills you, I believe he will make the right choice. Sometimes, being too much of a genius is not a good thing for Elysium. It might even be a disaster. You've caused too much trouble, and the internal strife of Elysium is also caused by you. Without Yi Chun, Xianhou and the Demon Flower Emperor wouldn't be so close. If they wanted to control the demonic human tribe, there wouldn't be so many disturbances. They could completely reduce the losses to the minimum. Haha, Yi Chun laughed. Su King, do you think I'm afraid of you? Isn't that so? Otherwise, there's no need for you to say so much to me. Alright, I want to see how capable the famous Su King is. My point of view is the same as yours. As long as I defeat you, this battle will be over. Although they were at a disadvantage in numbers, Yi Chun wasn't afraid at all. Since the other side wanted to cause trouble, he would accompany them. At this moment, it was time to change the situation in Elysium. They couldn't let this group of people dominate Elysium. Chapter 973. Senior Demon Flower Emperor, come here. Yi Chun suddenly said to the Demon Flower Emperor. The Demon Flower Emperor was confused, but he still flew over. Yi Chun raised his palm and hit the Demon Flower Emperor's body. At the same time, a transparent energy entered the Demon Flower Emperor's body through Yi Chun's palm. The Demon Flower Emperor subconsciously wanted to resist, but Yi Chun's attack was too fast. Not only was the Demon Flower Emperor shocked, but Yi Chun's people were also shocked. They didn't know what Yi Chun was going to do to the Demon Flower Emperor, but after seeing that the Demon Flower Emperor was fine, they relaxed. It was a false alarm. Perhaps Yi Chun was giving the Demon Flower Emperor some benefits. The Demon Flower Emperor was shocked at first, but then he revealed a smile. Boom! A powerful fluctuation of demonic energy came from the Demon Flower Emperor's body. The Demon Flower Emperor's strength instantly recovered to its peak, and he was no longer weak. Impossible! The 5 Poison King's eyes widened. If the Demon Flower Emperor recovered to his peak, didn't that mean he had cured the Origin Rong poison? In his view, only a Spirit Pill King could cure the Origin Rong poison. And even with the power of a Spirit Pill King, they couldn't cure it directly. Instead, they had to refine an antidote based on the characteristics of the Origin Rong poison. How could Yi Chun easily cure the Origin Rong poison and allow the Demon Flower Emperor to recover to his peak? It's a detoxification technique. The Air Emperor squinted his eyes. A method that didn't require an antidote could be said to be a kind of secret technique that specialized in dispelling poisons. Although he didn't know what kind of poison-dispelling secret technique Yi Chun was practicing, he was sure that it was no small matter. He had a good understanding of the 5 Poisons King's Yuan Rong poison. Even if he was poisoned, it would be difficult for him to completely dispel it. The Air Emperor was right. What Yi Chun was using was indeed a detoxification secret art, which was taught to him by the Yuan Emperor. The detoxification secret art was a heaven-rank high-rank secret art. It could only be used to save people or save oneself, but it was very useful. The Great Poison Conversion art was very difficult to cultivate, and there were many steps. If one wanted to get started, they had to first learn how to use the Great Poison Conversion art to understand the basic composition of any poison. From the macroscopic to the microscopic, they had to break down the poison. This was because some strange poisons, once broken down, were not very harmful. Finally, he used the Great Poison Dissolving technique to gradually refine it. Of the above 3 steps, one could be considered to have achieved the first step. The other 2 steps would be considered to have achieved the minor accomplishment. After the minor accomplishment, one had to turn the Great Poison Dissolving technique into an instinct. The reason why one had to turn it into an instinct was because some poisons spread very quickly. One had to race against time with it. If one couldn't beat it, then one would naturally lose, and it would be a loss of life. Reaching this step would be considered to have reached the great accomplishment. As for the Great Perfection Realm, it was the most difficult step. When the Great Poison Dissolving technique reached the Great Perfection Realm, the body would produce an incomparably wonderful detoxification energy. This detoxification energy had spirituality, and it had already merged with one's instinct. Most poisons that came into contact with it would immediately be broken down and refined, as if they had met their nemesis. What Yi Chun injected into the Demon Flower Emperor's body was the detoxification energy. Naturally, Yi Chun's great poison dissolving technique had already reached the great perfection realm. Most poisons that came into contact with the detoxification energy would immediately be broken down and refined. Although the Yuan Rong poison was considered a very powerful poison, when it came into contact with the detoxification energy, it was easily dissolved as if it had met its nemesis. Battle Elephant Emperor, didn't you want to fight with me? Come. The Demon Flower Emperor's battle strength had recovered to its peak, and his aura was like a rainbow. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Battle Elephant Emperor's eyes were filled with intense battle intent. Only by defeating the Demon Flower Emperor at his peak would he feel a sense of accomplishment. Otherwise it would be too boring. Air Emperor, your opponent is me. Xianhou knew that the time for the final battle had arrived. Although she wasn't confident in defeating the Air Emperor, it would be more dangerous for the others to deal with the Air Emperor, who was proficient in space. I'll fulfill your wish, the Air Emperor said calmly. Haha, since there are no veteran titled monarchs, Hell King, Evil King, you two new titled monarchs will be my opponents. There were too few titled monarchs that supported the demonic humans. The innate demon emperor was filled with pride, and he wanted to fight against the Hell King and Evil King alone. Although he wasn't confident in defeating the two, he was confident that he could hold them back for some time. Innate demon emperor, it seems like you want to die. Hell King sneered coldly. He might not be able to defeat Yi Chun, but other than Yi Chun, he wasn't afraid even if it was Xianhou or the Demon Flower Emperor. Innate demon emperor, you will be the first titled monarchs to die. Evil King had nowhere to vent his anger. The arrogance of the innate demon emperor had undoubtedly enraged him. They should be able to hold on for some time. Thoughts flashed across Yi Chun's mind. He didn't have to worry about Senior Demon Flower Emperor fighting against Zhantian Elephant Emperor, and Senior Xianhou Yin fighting against the Air Emperor. Although it seemed a little difficult, he knew that Xianhou cultivated a profound Tao that couldn't be judged by common sense. She often had a way to turn the situation around. As for the innate demon emperor fighting against the Hell King and Evil King alone, it was too much for him. After all, the two of them were close to 5-star high tier. However, Yi Chun believed that the innate demon emperor could hold on for some time. Leave the rest of the titled monarchs to me. Other than Zhantian Elephant Emperor, Air Emperor, Hell King and Evil King, there were still a few titled monarchs on Su King's side. Needless to say, there was also Su King, one of the two sword monarchs, Azure Cloud Sword Monarch, Blood Sky Continent's 9-headed serpent monarch, Black Dragon Grand Ancestor, who dominated the Eastern Deep Sea, and together with Su King, there were 4 titled monarchs. None of them were to be trifled with. Even the weakest, the 9-headed serpent monarch, had a mid-tier 5-star battle prowess. The Azure Cloud Sword Monarch and Black Dragon Grand Ancestor were no weaker than the Air Emperor. Especially Su King, before he obtained the Violent Tiger Dragon Inner Pellet, he was already at the peak of 5-star battle prowess. No one knew what was going through Yi Chun's mind, or else, they would all be shocked and dumbfounded. After all, to them, Yi Chun was barely able to deal with Su King. At most, he could barely contend with Su King. If he were to go against the other 3 titled monarchs, he would be courting death, like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. It wasn't that Xianhou and the others didn't want to fight 1 or 2 more titled monarchs, but with their current prowess, it was too difficult for them to do so. After all, the Air Emperor and Zhantian Elephant Emperor weren't on the same level as Hell King and Evil King. They could only fight 1-on-1, not 2. On Yi Chun's side, other than Yi Chun himself, not even Xianhou and Demon Flower Emperor dared to say that they could defeat Hell King and Evil King together. Innate Demon Emperor chose the 2 of them because he wanted to hold them back for a while, lessening the pressure on the others. With another innate Demon Emperor, he could only run away unless he fought with his life on the line. Since you all have opponents, I have no choice but to deal with these demonic human kings. Black Dragon Old Ancestor sneered coldly. He looked at Cassiopeia King, and the other demonic human kings with emotionless eyes, only murderous intent. Red-eyed black dragons were violent beasts to begin with. Black dragon old ancestor, this battle doesn't have to last for so long. Let me help you. Let's finish it quickly. Nine-headed snake emperor stood beside black dragon old ancestor. All right. Black dragon old ancestor didn't decline. In the end, only Azure Cloud Sword Emperor was left. No one knew what he was thinking, but no one was in the mood to think about it. Judging from the situation, whether it was the number of ordinary monarchs or titled monarchs, Su King's side had the absolute advantage. It was an unequal battle. The atmosphere between Su King and Yi Chen was the most tense. They were the core of their respective camps. Once they started fighting, it would be the fuse of an all-out war. 10 moves, I'll defeat you. The illusionary emperor made his move. He slowly drew his hands out from behind his back. Before, I was a small figure, so I admired you a lot. But now, I know that a titled monarch is nothing more than a mortal. Arrogance, ignorance, these are all the same to you. Come, I, Yi Chen, want to see how you'll defeat me in 10 moves. Unexpectedly, Yi Chen sheathed the Sky Scorpio sword. At the same time, he took out a pseudo-extreme grade sword from his storage ring. This sword was silver with a hint of blue, with a blood-red mark in the middle. This was the only pseudo-extreme grade sword that Yi Chen had forged before, called Iron Blood Silver Blue Sword. Extreme grade swords were too hard to forge, but Yi Chen had already grasped the ability to forge pseudo-extreme grade swords, although the success rate was not high. Abandoning the extreme grade sword? Everyone was a bit baffled. Xianhou seemed to have vaguely guessed something. A complicated expression flickered in her eyes, followed by admiration. It was an admiration for a true expert, just like how she admired Dragon King. Although Dragon King was not as powerful as Su King and Air Emperor, he was a true expert. She had never thought that she would admire Yi Chen so early. This was a young man who was half her age. What kind of environment and what kind of training could forge such a peerless sword artist? A peerless sword artist. A symbol of strength, a symbol of spirit. First move. Su King was wearing a bright yellow robe, flickering with yellow light. He was like a jumping sun, ignoring the distance of space and the bindings of heaven and earth. With a flicker, he arrived before Yi Chen and stretched out his right hand, which seemed to be forged from gold, striking at Yi Chen's face. Su King had made his move. The atmosphere was shattered. A horrifying aura soared into the sky and swept into the starry sky. A sword intent that could destroy everything burst out from Yi Chen. At this moment, Yi Chen was like a peerless sword that was unsheathed, releasing a cold light that could pierce through the starry sky. Clang! The iron-blooded silver blue sword streaked across the sky, also ignoring the distance of space and the bindings of heaven and earth. It clashed with Su King's palm at an even faster speed. Boom! Berserk chi waves tore apart space one after another. Yi Chen and Void Emperor's figures flickered, directly ignoring the harsh environment as they continued to exchange blows. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged dozens of blows. Their flickering figures gave off a decisive feeling. Kill! Everyone fought fiercely. Demon Flower Emperor against Celestial Elephant Emperor. Xianhou against Air Emperor. Innate Demon Emperor against Jail King and Evil King. As for Black Dragon Patriarch and Hydra Emperor, they smirked and charged at Cassiopeia King and the others. Your opponent is also me. All of a sudden, a sword aura that could destroy everything swept over, engulfing Black Dragon Patriarch and Hydra Emperor. 8 trigrams annihilation sword art. All the figures in the battle stopped almost at the same time. The one who made the move was actually Yi Chen. He actually planned to deal with Black Dragon Patriarch and Hydra Emperor at the same time when he was fighting with Su King. What kind of confidence and imposing manner did he have? Haha, I, Yi Chen, came to this world under the blessing of fate. In the past it was just a small fight. Today let me fight the 4 great monarchs alone. Yi Chen laughed loudly. The ostentatious sword aura expanded uncontrollably, engulfing the Azure Cloud Sword Emperor and causing the void to tremble. Not only Yi Chen's side, but the way everyone looked at Yi Chen changed. At this moment, Yi Chen seemed to be glowing in their eyes. They couldn't see his face clearly, only his soaring sword aura and fluttering black hair. Chapter 974. Yi Chun, you are too arrogant. The Black Dragon Old Ancestor was enraged. Yi Chun was fighting against Su King, but he still wanted to kill him, and the Nine-Headed Serpent Emperor at the same time. Did he think that he could kill the Black Dragon Old Ancestor and the Nine-Headed Serpent Emperor by himself? This was the first time that the Black Dragon Old Ancestor was looked down upon to such an extent. He was extremely furious. The Nine-Headed Serpent Emperor's reaction wasn't as intense as the Black Dragon Old Ancestor, but he also felt that Yi Chun was a little too arrogant. He wanted to fight against 4 titled monarchs by himself. This was like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. Not to mention the others. Just Su King alone was enough to suppress Yi Chun, not to mention the 4 of them. Yi Chun, I thought you were a genius. It turns out that you are just an arrogant person who has been blinded by success. The Azure Cloud Sword Emperor's expression was very cold. Divine light shot out from his eyes. Chi 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 chi. The 8 trigrams extermination sword art was one of Yi Chun's strongest sword arts apart from the merciless water and fire art. It was comparable to the Autumn Water Sword Art's 3rd move, Bone Break. Once it was used, countless sword lights formed an 8 trigrams diagram. It swept out and covered the 2 titled monarchs, the Black Dragon Old Ancestor and the Nine-Headed Serpent Emperor. The Black Dragon Old Ancestor and the Nine-Headed Serpent Emperor shouted together. The Black Dragon Old Ancestor's black robe fluttered even though there was no wind. He suddenly punched out, creating a huge gap in the sword lights. A dragon's roar resounded through the heaven and earth. Behind the Nine-Headed Serpent Emperor, the Nine-Headed Serpent Emperor's shadow condensed. The 9 heads either spewed out flames, frost, or meteor-like attacks towards the incoming sword lights. Each of the 9 attacks was enough to severely injure an ordinary titled monarch. One person was equivalent to 9 ordinary titled monarchs. However, the 8 trigrams extermination sword art wasn't so simple. The 8 trigrams contain yin and yang, reversing the heaven and earth. The sword formation only changed slightly, and the lost sword lights condensed again, rushing towards the 2 again. This Yi Chun, innate demon emperor, thought that he was arrogant enough to fight against the Hell King and Evil King alone. But little did he expect that Yi Chun was even more arrogant than him. He fought against 4 monarchs alone, and among the 4 monarchs, other than the Nine-Headed Serpent Sovereign, the other 3 were stronger than the Hell King and Evil King. No matter what, today's battle is enough to make Yi Chun's name resound throughout the world. In terms of fame, his fame might even surpass that of Su King and those veteran titled monarchs who have lived for hundreds of years. Everyone thought to themselves. Multitasking, Yi Chun controlled the 8 trigram sword formation to attack the Black Dragon Old Ancestor and the Nine-Headed Serpent Emperor, while he held the iron-blooded silver-blue sword and fought against Su King. This kind of multitasking had already surpassed the ordinary multitasking. This was because it was different from using dual swords. Dual swords required one to hold a sword in each hand and use different sword arts. Right now, he was using sword arts while using his soul power to control the 8 trigram sword array. The difficulty had increased by several times. It couldn't be compared to before. Great Destruction Golden Burning Palm. The surreal emperor's expression was as cold as 10,000 years old ice. He didn't say anything, but his attacks became several times fiercer. He threw out a palm attack, and his palm was like a burning iron. Wherever his palm hit, there would be a clanging sound and dazzling sparks. This was the terrifying effect that could only be created by combining the metal profound and fire, profound to a certain degree. Chi, chi, chi. The sword light danced and refracted in the void. Yi Chun's figure was like a ghost, flickering and shifting. The sword law he used came from Yuan Emperor's Void Essence Slash. Void Essence Slash contained the Space Profound, which was much stronger than the Orbit Slash. After all, Yuan Emperor was a peak 7-star expert. The Space Profound martial arts that he had researched were not something that Yi Chun could compete with. If Yi Chun hadn't comprehended the essence of thousands of sword arts from the sword world, he might not have been able to use the Void Essence Slash. Although the golden flame palm shadow was as fast as light, it didn't have many variations. In comparison, the void essence slash was not only faster, but also had more variations. Sometimes it attacked in a straight line, sometimes it refracted in the air, and sometimes it curved forward. In the hands of Yi Chun, the style of the void essence slash was completely different from that of Yuan Emperor. After all, Yuan Emperor wasn't a swordsman, so his fighting style was somewhat different. The refracted sword light lingered around Yi Chun's body, protecting Yi Chun tightly. From time to time, several sword lights would shoot out and attack Su Qing's body. Demon Flower pervasive entanglement. Apart from Yi Chun's side, there were battles everywhere. Among them, the battle between the Demon Flower Emperor and Zhan Tian Elephant Emperor was the most direct and violent. Both of them were fighting head-on and didn't have many variations. There were only naked attacks. The Demon Flower Emperor's hands quickly formed seals, and a huge demon flower condensed below her, holding her up. The roots of the demon flower extended out dark green vines that were like giant pythons and wrapped around Zhan Tian Elephant Emperor. These vines were densely covered with barbs. Once entangled, one could imagine the consequences. 8 Desolation Heaven Warring Saint Technique. Zhan Tian Elephant Emperor was a physique-refining king, and head-on battles were his forte. It was no exaggeration to say that although his battle prowess was at the advanced 5-star level, he could even fight against a peak 5-star king. In the past, the Golden Turtle Great Ancestor was stronger than him, but he only sent him flying with a slap and didn't do much to him. It was imaginable how strong his head-on battle power was. The Demon Flower Emperor knew his strength, so she didn't dare to fight one against two at the same time. She knew that in order to reduce the burden of others, she must first not be a burden. Boom, boom, boom. Waves of air soared into the sky, and Zhan Tian Elephant Emperor's body expanded, reaching a height of 6 meters, like a giant. At the same time, his appearance began to change from human to beast man. This was his strongest form. As a physique-refining king, strength alone was not enough. Speed was necessary. Transforming into his original form would increase his strength, but his speed and agility would undoubtedly decrease. After all, he was different from the Golden Turtle Great Ancestor. The Golden Turtle Great Ancestor didn't walk the path of physique refining. The reason why his physical defense was so strong was because of the natural advantage of the Golden Turtle Great Ancestor. Haha, a mere little snake dares to be so insolent in front of me. Zhan Tian Elephant Emperor laughed loudly. He grabbed the entangling vines with each hand and pulled forcefully. The vines straightened and pulled the Demon Flower Emperor and the Demon Flower below her over. Whip him! The Demon Flower Emperor's expression didn't change. Waves of demonic power were poured into the Demon Flower. Suddenly, the Demon Flower emitted a dazzling black brilliance. The giant python vines seemed to be on steroids as they shook violently and lashed at the 6-meter-tall Zhan Tian Elephant Emperor. The sound of them breaking through the air almost pierced through people's eardrums. There were too many giant python vines. There were dozens and hundreds of them attacking at the same time. Even the Zhan Tian Elephant Emperor couldn't block them all. In the blink of an eye, he was immediately whipped dozens of times. The treasured clothes on his body were torn apart, revealing the supreme-grade treasured armor inside, and the thick-veined arms. Looking down at his unprotected arms, there were faint red marks on them. These were marks left behind by the vines. The Battle Sky Elephant Emperor grinned and suddenly punched out. The violent fist energy crushed the space and shattered all the vines in front of it, heading straight for the demonic Flower Queen. The Demon Flower Emperor finally understood the Zhan Tian Elephant Emperor's defense. It was not weaker than the Golden Turtle Great Ancestor. The vines whipped over and seemed to leave faint red marks on the Zhan Tian Elephant Emperor's arms. But the barbs didn't pierce through at all. They all collapsed as if these barbs were made of tofu. Seeing the Zhan Tian Elephant Emperor's punch, the demonic power outside the Demon Flower Emperor's body rapidly thickened. At the same time, the huge demon flower below changed from an open state to a closed state, wrapping the Demon Flower Emperor inside. Rumble! There were dozens of layers of petals on the demon flower. With a loud explosion, dozens of layers of the demon flower were broken in one fell swoop, exposing the demon flower emperor inside. Go! The demon flower emperor held a huge demonic light ball in his hand. This demonic light ball was the energy absorbed in the battle and converted into demonic power. The demon flower emperor's strength lay in the fact that the more he fought, the more powerful he became. The Zhantian elephant emperor also knew this, so he immediately crossed his arms and sealed his chest and face. If the battle between the demon flower emperor and the Zhantian elephant emperor was violent and direct, then the battle between Xianhou and the air emperor was elusive and unpredictable. Both of them were experts proficient in the profound meaning of space. When they fought, they would inevitably use the profound meaning of space to dodge an attack. Occasionally, they would also use other profound meaning martial arts as support. Swish! Xianhou took a step into the spatial door, which quickly closed and disappeared into the void. The next moment, the air emperor blasted a punch over, shattering the space. When she reappeared, Xianhou was already at another angle. However, the air emperor seemed to have captured Xuanhou's fluctuations. His figure flickered and appeared behind Xianhou. Xuanhou's expression was normal. In front of her, a mirror that looked like a spatial door reflected brilliance. Xuanhou's figure seemed to have changed time and space. She appeared on the other side of the mirror, and it became the air emperor facing the mirror. The mirror shone brightly and spewed a light beam with 5 colors at the air emperor. How can a grain of light compete with the sun and the moon? The air emperor sneered. His figure spread out like a ripple and disappeared. The light beam passed through him and didn't hurt him at all. Sky realm. Clang, clang, clang. Pieces of glass appeared from the void, forming a space made of glass covering Xianhou. After the space was formed, the essence of the glass rapidly faded, turning into a void that was deeper than the void. Xianhou was in the void. There was no sky, no earth, no direction. Mysterious Tao reverse heaven and earth. Xuanhou's expression didn't change at all. She formed a hand seal, and an ancient gate appeared. As the gate appeared, the void seemed to lose its meaning, and was forcefully twisted, turning into a normal space. With a snap, Xianhou broke through the space barrier and reappeared in reality. What a mysterious Tao! The air emperor's expression turned solemn. In terms of combat prowess, his opponent was clearly weaker than him. However, her mysterious Tao wasn't something to be underestimated. Her methods were unfathomable, and she could even reverse his sky realm. At this moment, a beam of sword light suddenly appeared on the huge battlefield. This beam of sword light pierced through the sky, illuminating the world. It was like a heavenly sword that came from the underworld, slashing straight at Yi Chen. Anyone who faced this beam of sword light would have no way to dodge or retreat. This was because this beam of sword light seemed to have a direct trajectory, but it also seemed as though it didn't exist in this world. Even an expert like the Air Emperor was momentarily distracted by this beam of sword light. It's the Azure Cloud Sword art of the Azure Cloud Sword Emperor. Someone exclaimed. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.